So Donald Trump absolutely crushed in Indiana last night, and Ted Cruz dropped out, which means that Trump is the presumptive Republican nominee. Now, I'm going to have more on Cruz later. Coming into Indiana, Donald Trump was down to Ted Cruz 5 percentage points in the polls. Okay, that's going off, a poll from last week, and there were some that had him a little closer moving into today, but most of the polls had Trump down a decent amount. I mean, 5 percentage points is nothing to scoff at, okay? So what ended up happening when people actually voted? Trump won by about 17 percentage points. So yet again, outperforming the polls. He basically shut the door anyway, so that even if Ted Cruz stayed in the race, it would almost certainly not be a contested convention, because he just keeps racking up the delegates. And I think you're starting to see also a little bit of the bandwagon effect on the Republican side, which is that people are coming to terms with the fact that it's inevitable. So more people are going out to vote for Trump and fewer people are going out to vote for Cruz. So now he is the nominee, and you have to take him seriously. You just have to do it. Now, I was ahead of most other pundits on February 22nd before the Nevada caucus, and when only 3 states had voted, I said it would be a minor miracle if Trump wasn't the nominee. I predicted he would be the nominee, okay? Again, most other commentators, save Ali Rizvi, who tweeted me about this, and Matt Brunig, other than them, I don't know of any other prominent commentators and pundits who said that Trump would be the nominee. So we were ahead of it all along. But others to this day are still underestimating him. So here's why you need to take him seriously, and I'm begging with people, specifically on the left here, to take him seriously. Number one, just like I alluded to before, just like I've been alluding to for the past few months on the show, seemingly every single day, everybody said he would be done after the first debate. Then he won that by a landslide. Then everybody said after the second debate, he won that by a landslide. Then everybody said after the third debate, he won that by a landslide. Then everybody said he'd be done after Iowa, because he came in second to Cruz, even though Trump was up in the polls. So like, okay, we've seen peak Trump, it's over. Well, you know what happened after that? He won New Hampshire in a crushing way. He won Nevada. People kept moving the goalposts. No, he'll be gone after this state. No, he'll be gone after that state. No, he'll be gone after this thing or that thing. People said there's no way he's going to hit 30% support among Republicans. He blew by 30%. Then they said, well, it's okay. There's no way he's going to hit 40% among Republicans. Then he blew by that. Then finally people said, well, come on, there's no way he'll get a majority. There's no way he'll get over 50%. Now we've seen some elections where he gets 60% or more. We've seen 64%. Now, on top of all that, so he's been perpetually underestimated from the beginning. There are other reasons why you should take him seriously, too. For example, a low turnout helps him. Okay, and if you have Hillary Clinton as the person you're running against, it's much more likely to be a low turnout. She doesn't get the base excited. They don't turn out in numbers for her. So, if that turnout stays low, that always favors the Republican. You cannot overlook that. More, he has the potential to suppress the vote of the Democratic base. This is another thing that I haven't heard any other commentators talk about. When Donald Trump in the debates keeps hammering Hillary for voting for the Iraq War, for wanting to do the intervention in Libya and pushing that, for being in favor of TPP, for being in favor of NAFTA, for being super corrupt and bought by Wall Street. If he keeps hammering those points, I'm not saying he's going to get like the Democratic base to turn and go vote for him. There are a few people who might, but not many. But it's much more likely that they'll either go out and vote for Jill Stein or go out and write in Bernie Sanders' name or just not vote. He's going to suppress the turnout of the Democratic base because he's going to remind them what Hillary Clinton is. He's going to remind them that, oh, just so you know, this ain't the person you guys want. And that's going to make them go, fuck, he's right. And if you keep repeating it, honestly, people are going to be embarrassed. Many are going to be ashamed to go vote for Hillary Clinton because she really is the antithesis of everything the Democratic base stands for. That's an angle I haven't heard anybody talk about. He also gets independents at a much higher number, much higher rate than Hillary Clinton does. Of course, Bernie Sanders gets all the independents, in the Democratic primary. So in a general, you got one candidate that gets many independents and another one who doesn't get many. What's that recipe look like? And also, Hillary's campaign, in order to try to get them, looks like they're going to do the exact wrong strategy. Some of her top staffers had said to the media, said to The Hill recently, like, well, we want to pick somebody to get moderates and to get independents. So we're going to, perhaps pick a VP who's a Republican. No, but wait a second. The person on the Democratic side who's winning independents is more progressive. So by that logic, shouldn't you be more progressive? They're like, no, we don't care about that. We're going to not use logic and go with the right winger and hope that gets us independence, even though it won't. And then also, another angle, forget just independents, Trump gets new voters. So he's going to lose some Republican establishment types like neoconservatives, okay, and people from the financial establishment because they don't trust him because he's perhaps uncontrollable and he's crazy. But he's gaining new voters. There are new old white men, for example, who are coming to vote who have never voted before. Not a good sign for the Democrats, and if he can get enough of those, it's going to be hard for somebody like Hillary Clinton. And then finally, and the most important thing that everybody's underestimating, he has crossover appeal that you're not giving him credit for because he portrays himself as anti-establishment. Everybody overlooks that when that's probably the biggest thing that makes him a general election threat. When he repeatedly says, I'm against outsourcing deals, even though, by the way, he benefits from them personally, so I don't believe him when he says it, but he says, I'm against outsourcing deals. Okay, he says, half the time he says, I don't want to be involved overseas. I want to be more non-interventionist and whatever, let other people fight ISIS. Again, these are left-wing positions here. When he talks about money in politics as he has, again, I don't think he's going to do anything about it, but he keeps talking about it. When he uses these arguments, working-class people are going to go, yeah, I want that guy. People greatly underestimate the dissatisfaction with the status quo. And nobody is more the status quo than Hillary Clinton. So I get it, guys. I have eyes. I'm not stupid. I read this stuff on a daily basis. I see the numbers right now. Okay, I do. I see that Hillary Clinton is up big time against Trump in some polls in a general election. Some polls have come out recently that say they're either tied or Trump has a slight lead. But I know that if you were to do an average of the polls, Hillary Clinton is up right now. But we haven't even had the arguments from both sides begin yet. Now, don't get me wrong, can Trump self-destruct and perhaps do the exact wrong strategy and get super personal and, just do tasteless attacks through and through that are not policy-based, and then he'd lose the election? Of course. But is it also possible that he's savvy enough to do the right arguments? Well, there's some signs that he is. For example, a lot of the stuff that Bernie said, Trump says he's seen that and he's like, bingo, that's what I'm going to go with. And again, you can't get mad at Bernie for that because Bernie's just pointing out facts. So if Trump is smart enough to recognize the facts and go, oh, I'm using that, well, then the person you should be mad at is Hillary Clinton because Hillary Clinton did those things that Bernie Sanders is saying that she did. He ain't making any of it up. So that's who you should be mad at. And if you really want somebody to beat Donald Trump, you could go with the safe bet, the person who would beat him in a landslide in virtually every single poll, the person who does way better than Hillary Clinton against him, that would be Bernie Sanders. And why is that? Because you take away the anti-establishment appeal of Donald Trump if you have Bernie Sanders running against him. Guys, seriously think about this. We're poised for a general election now where the Democrats are put in the position of having to defend the candidate that's more pro-establishment. That's basically the antithesis of everything that liberals and progressives are supposed to be about. And also on the other side, the Republican voters have willingly or unwillingly been supporting, or wittingly or unwittingly, I should say, been supporting candidates that are the establishment. But now they have somebody who's uncontrollable, and for better or for worse, probably in many cases for worse, and they're voting for him. So you have this flipping of the general rules of the game here, where the Democrats are now put in a position where they're like, I guess we have to defend the establishment. That's a bad place to be in, man. That's a bad place to be in. So I'm going to say it for the 9,000th time. Do not underestimate Donald Trump. Learn your lesson. Look, I made the same mistake as everybody very early on, okay? Before any of the debates, before we knew anything about the numbers and the facts moving forward, I dismissed him. And I said he has no chance of winning. But it turns out that I had to change my mind quickly because I don't have concrete in my head. I can see the evidence. I can see the data. And when he came out and won the first debate, and then the second debate, and then the third debate, and then, when he started racking up wins, I told you it only took me 3 states voting before I said it'd be a minor miracle to beat that guy. He's probably going to win. Okay, so learn your lesson, man. I learned mine. Everybody should learn theirs. You got to take him seriously because I honestly believe, and this is something very few other pundits would agree with, Trump is a bigger general election threat against the Democrats than any other Republican that ran. Okay, Marco Rubio, forget it. Ted Cruz, I honestly believe it'd be a landslide victory for any Democrat against those candidates. Donald Trump, that is not the case.